Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I realize that this microphone is shit compared to my other microphones, but I really just wanted to go ahead and make this video about what the psychedelic has provided me and how far I've come in my own life since the psychedelic experience, which was, in case you're interested, an ayahuasca experience back in November of 2019. And so leading up to the psychedelic experience, I was using heroin every single day, multiple times per day, for a very long time. I mean, my addiction was 10 years long. Um, Over the years, it got exponentially worse and worse. But in the past 2, 3 years, everyday habit here, there were times where I'd be clean for like a few days at a time, but that's about it. Now, what is important is the intention going in. The intention to go into the ayahuasca experience was to kind of look at this whole addiction thing, accept it, accept all of the things in my past, and kind of face death, I guess. And what's important about the integration or the intention is it wasn't just like, oh yeah, I'm saying these things. No, I was feeling those things going in because I had prepared for a long time before taking the psychedelic. Um, but just like that, I had this experience and I stopped using heroin overnight. I didn't have a use for it because I knew, I don't know, I just knew that continuing to use opiates wasn't going to fulfill my needs, wasn't going to get me where I wanted to. Beforehand it was, but then I was opened up to this experience. I had an awakening, so to speak, and realized that whatever it was that I was escaping from, it's impossible. I'm not going to escape it. So might as well deal with it and feel it. And the beautiful thing about the ayahuasca was it allowed me to feel everything, be present, and accept it. And that's key in this experience that I had. So anyway, I stopped using heroin overnight. A few months later, I stopped using heroin, but I was still on a high dose of methadone, 120 milligrams. A few months later, over the next few months, I go from 120 milligrams down to 1 milligram. And when I get down to 1 milligram, I start to have not only psychological withdrawal, but also physiological withdrawal, and it was very uncomfortable. So I relapsed for about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And in that 2 or 3 weeks, I overdosed twice. And I think this was after the ayahuasca experience. I had this transformative experience, but the physiological withdrawal and the psychological withdrawal was too tough that I went back to it. And I think I overdosed in those 3 weeks twice because I felt like I had been given an opportunity with the ayahuasca and I squandered it. Well, luckily, after the second time that I overdosed, I was around loved ones and people who cared for me and accepted me for everything. And that allowed me to, in my own mind, decide, okay, I need to get off this shit right now. So I called a rehab center. In 2 days, I got into a rehab center. In the 7 days that I was at the rehab center, I stopped taking the methadone, cold turkey, and it's now been about a bit over 9 months, and I haven't touched opiates since. I think it's been a little over 9 months, and I want to talk more about like what it has provided me as opposed to, I don't want to talk so externally, like, yes, I've cut off drugs. That's a miracle. There's no other words for that. I mean, there are, but it's a miracle. And there was nothing else in my life that would have catalyzed me to get off drugs except for the psychedelic experience. And that's why I think it's so important that we talk about these things, because I had near-death experiences many times in my life. They never catalyzed me to, actually what happened was I'd have a near-death experience and I'd want to use heroin more. But there's cathartic release during the psychedelic experience, or something where I was able to like see my death and see death and scare me back into life, like put me back in, like I don't want to die yet. I want to push that off as far as possible. So a couple things that in my mind that it's provided me with is, well, so not only did I stop using the heroin and the methadone, I've also stopped using nicotine and alcohol. If I do drink, it's every once in a while. And even if I smoke tobacco, like I'm not saying I'll never smoke tobacco again, but it's not an everyday thing. It's not even an every week thing, actually. I've only smoked once in the past 2 months. Before that, I was inhaling nicotine daily. All right, so it got me off drugs. It got me off nicotine. It got me off alcohol, so to speak. I mean, yeah, I may drink every once in a great while. But like, what in my mind did it provide me with? Well, it provided me with a sense of peace of mind, for one. So in the past, I would always be thinking, worrying about the future or worrying about the past. So doing that took me out of the present. I had so much anxiety in life, in everyday life, that I wanted anything that I could use to escape it. So instead of living, instead of like going throughout the day, carrying my own burden, living forthright, I would take heroin or nicotine or, excess of food or sugar or, whatever it was to take me out of the moment. And I think that's what we do as a society in America. But I want to talk about me specifically. So what I'm trying to get at is like, now I'm able to accept the moment, accept what I'm in, feel it. Everything's okay. And I'm able to really not just conceptualize that, but really grasp that and feel that. I mean, everything's okay. It's a beautiful gift that was given to me. Now, there are times where I feel, oh, I should be doing more, or I wish I could accomplish more. But then immediately I have to remind myself, this is what I asked for. I mean, like, I have such a beautiful gift to be here right now. So like in creating this YouTube channel with my brother, what we're trying to do is just spread our message, spread our, what we've been through and what we've overcome. I work, I have a great job now. Beforehand I was just working kind of low minimum wage jobs, bouncing between job and to job for the past 10 years. I've now got a understanding of life and a meaning and purpose to at least in my own life, that I feel, and that's what's most important. The other thing I want to talk about that's I think is key, like absolutely key in my life, and I think if I didn't have it, I'm not sure where I'd be, but I don't know, I'd probably likely still be using, or maybe I wouldn't, but I am so grateful for the fact that I have an integration practice, a weekly ritual that I do with very close people, my closest people in my life. An integration practice where I can reflect, have introspection on my psychedelic experiences, my life, any experience in my life. It's not like a psychedelic integration only tool. I mean, it's an integration for life. It allows me, it gives me the space and the time I need to talk about anything and everything. It's like, it's the most miraculous thing, even more than the psychedelic, I'd say, because the psychedelic is one experience. This psychedelic integration is every single week, and I don't take psychedelics during this. I know some people are like, oh, well, you have to take psychedelics every week. It's like, no, we don't. You can make a ritual out of anything. It doesn't need to even have a substance, you know. But um, I'm never going to stop spreading my message, you know, because there are people that will listen. There are people that will hear me. And the proof is there. The proof is in the pudding, so to speak. I mean, I have stopped using drugs and my life is improving gradually. This past year, it's like it's out of a book or something. I mean, come on. I'm not here to convince you of it, but I am here to spread my message and to tell you guys that there is hope, and that if you have any questions or anything, please reach out to me. You know, we're gonna, Ryan and I are going to continue to make candid conversation videos, and we're going to continue to do the podcast, and we're going to take it as far as it can go. But ultimately, you know, what we're trying to do is just express what we have to express, because that helps. That's something that we've noticed that has helped, is talking about, expressing. You know, we used to have a lot of fear of like, oh, well, if we do this, you know, we're putting ourselves out there too much, and, you know, we don't want to get in trouble, or we don't want people to get mad at us. It doesn't matter. The hero's journey is not about, if I were to get in trouble, if I were to go to jail, okay, I'm still going to spread my message. I'm always going to spread this message because I want to be there for people, because I know how difficult it can be to go through psychedelic experiences, traumatic psychedelic experiences, especially alone. That's a paradigm we need to change. The whole idea of what drugs are and how drugs are seen. This drugs are bad. Just say no. Bullshit. Literally bullshit. Yeah, a whole fucking lot of good that did for me. I'm not trying to rag on that. I'm just saying that the drug education needs to change. I'll say this. One thing that did help me in drug education was when somebody would come in, somebody that had a previous experience with drugs would come in and share their experience, telling us their story. That's the number one thing that helped. And that's what we're trying to do here, really. I mean, so if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it.